Hey internet friends! Throughout history, we've seen empires rise and we've seen them fall. But people remain, even though their right to exist is questioned. Our time to speak about apartheid and ethnic cleansing, and even question history and propaganda, is coming to a close on the internet, and perhaps in real life. As videos are being flagged, search results are being filtered, history is being erased, while individuals who dare question the narrative they're being fed are labeled extremists, spouting hate speech, and sometimes are even jailed as a result. So while we can, we should talk about things that matter, like the individuals and situations that play a direct role in wars and rumors of wars, as we all exist in a state of endless war. And there are some folks who'd like to keep it that way because it benefits them. That's why today we're going to talk about the Golan Heights, or the Syrian Golan, 2/3 of which are occupied by Israel, serving as the epicenter of conflict in the Middle East. Within the hotbed of chaos sits a curious cast of familiar characters, stoking the flames and collecting the spoils of war under the banner of a company by the name of Genie Energy.
We are the masters of our fate. That the task which has been set us is not above our strength, that its pangs and toils are not beyond our endurance. As long as we have faith in our cause and an unconquerable willpower, salvation will not be denied us.
How did we get to this point with Damascus laid to waste and an endless array of breaking news headlines relaying that an impending world war is about to pop off at any moment? Well, we've got to talk about black gold, with the Ottoman Empire first discovering oil in the Baku, Azerbaijan region in 1846, becoming the world's top producing region at the time and later being pumped out of the ground by the Nobel brothers under the Bronabel Oil Company. But soon Rockefeller's American Standard Oil Company entered the black city of Baku. The Rothschilds, who make their association with the Vatican no secret, were there too, developing a fleet of oil tankers to operate in the Caspian Sea in 1898. While in 1908, the British Burma Oil Company, owned by British royals and known today as BP, discovered oil in modern-day Iran, which fueled exploration and exploitation of a region once called Persia. And in 1911, the Royal Dutch Shell Company bought the Azerbaijan oil fields from the Rothschild family. It's important to note that during World War I, which resulted in the fall of the Ottoman Empire, a secret agreement took place called the Sykes-Picot Treaty. And this treaty was whipped up in 1916 by two British and French diplomats, dividing the region into states, which splintered ethnic and religious communities that were once united. And under that treaty, Palestine was placed under international control. Post-World War I, the Brits assumed control over Palestine. And only 1 year after the Sykes-Picot Treaty was signed came the Balfour Declaration, nestled in a letter between the United Kingdom's Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour and addressed to Walter Rothschild, promising Palestine as a home for the Jewish people. Keep in mind, this declaration was Talkin' Zionism, or the Jewish nationalist movement supporting a Jewish national state in Palestine. This was in 1917, promised to the same people who funded the Bolshevik Communist Revolution that same year, with Lenin attacking Baku, igniting all of the oil frameworks and machinery, ensuring that communist Russia wouldn't be dabbling in the oil game. And the destruction of Baku resulted in a skyrocket in oil prices, meaning a payday for the rest of the players. But we all gotta get by with a little help from our friends, right? Before he was the Prime Minister of Britain, before he ever helped lead the Allied forces to victory, Winston Churchill was born into an aristocratic family, with his father being a member of the noble Spencer family, and his mother, Jenny Jerome, a Jewish American Zionist whose status could be compared to a modern-day Paris Hilton or Nicole Richie. As First Lord of the Admiralty in the 1920s, Churchill was drooling over some oil, and the Burma Oil Company employed Churchill, paying him to lobby the British government to allow Burma's Anglo-Persian oil business to have exclusive rights to the Persian oil. And serving as Secretary of State for the colonies, Churchill drew borders in the Middle East, grabbing more oil for the British Navy. Take note of this pattern while I summarize. The oil industry was booming pre-World War I, pumping out oil in the Ottoman Empire. And instead of competing for the prize, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds became a team, and essentially took out the rest of the competition, while simultaneously funding the perfect environment for war and rumors of wars, creating a domino effect of chaos that worked in their favor. Palestine was already promised to the Rothschilds, and wars and atrocities to get the entire world behind the State of Israel and scare the Jewish population were funded by the same folks to which the state was promised.
We do everything possible to prevent the emergence of another front of terror, front against us at the Golan Heights. This is the red line we have marked. We cannot go back to the days when our villages and our children were shot at from the Golan Heights. And that is why, in the framework of the agreement or without it, the Golan Heights will remain a part of sovereign Israel.
The State of Israel was declared in 1948, but technically the land was Palestine, so Palestinians lived there. And ever since the creation of Israel, there's been bloodshed. In fact, there's never been friendly relations between Israel and its neighbors. The Six-Day War of 1967 was basically Israel against Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. Since Israel's neighbors saw Israel as an illegitimate state, Egypt decided it was going to liberate the Palestinian state. Israel attacked first, by air, on Egyptian airfields, and as a result, Syria and Jordan attacked Israel. But Israel defeated all of them, occupying land that allegedly held a historical significance to Israel and mirrored what some refer to as the Greater Israel Plan. Israel returned the Sinai Peninsula but began settling other claimed lands, including the Golan Heights, which Israelis claimed Syrians were using the strategic location to fire upon other Israelis. Since the Six-Day War, Israel annexed the Golan Territory in the 1980s, though even to this day, Israeli settlements and building there is internationally considered to be illegal. Of course, Syria wants the return of the territory, and herein lies the main reason for the continued conflict, especially since Israel continues to take advantage of Syria's chaos as a means of settling in the Golan. Sound familiar? Sound like a familiar pattern? Well, this brings us to the main point of the video. Genie Energy, a company based in Newark, New Jersey. A company that has a lot of interest in this unlawfully occupied territory, at which there's been, at least what the news reports, a recent discovery of major oil reserves. But that's not terrible, right? People have a right to side with Israel and make $1 doing so. That's capitalism. But wait, hold up. Should members of our government, former or current, be doing that? Buying off illegally occupied territory sold by Israel? Setting an international precedent for any country to invade and occupy a weaker one and gut them for their resources? Well, should they? Should that be allowed? Let's take a closer look. On the board of Genie Energy sits Jacob Rothschild, Dick Cheney, former Vice President, Defense Secretary, and Halliburton CEO. Rupert Murdoch, founder of News Corporation and Fox News. Larry Summers, former Secretary of the Treasury. James Woolsey, former Director of the CIA. Bill Richardson, former Governor and Energy Secretary under the Clinton administration. Mary Landrieu, who is a former senator who sponsored the Israeli-U.S. energy bill. And finally, Michael Steinhardt, Wall Street investor.
I've been involved with a number of administrations in the Middle East over the years, obviously. The effort's always been to try to get the peace process going between Israel and the Palestinians.
And what they're essentially doing, these white helmets, and I really want to stress this point because it's part of the overall scheme of propaganda and demonization. They're white helmets by day and terrorists by night. You see many of these people that are dressed in their pristine white outfits and white helmets that pretend to be rescuing civilians. In other instances, you see the same characters holding their weapons and posing as rebels. This is the scandalous hypocrisy of the West. Not only has the West been funding and training and arming terrorists to go into Syria and to behead and slaughter Syrian civilians, but now the West wants to award the white helmets with the Nobel Peace Prize.
In recent years, the United States repealed the propaganda ban, signing off on the National Defense Authorization Act, which included an amendment that legalized the use of propaganda on the American public, making it legal for information and psychological operations aimed at influencing public opinion to be implemented by the United States government. So is this why the White Helmets, or voluntary rescue workers in Syria, who are pumping out propaganda by day, with a chunk of the White Helmets murdering civilians by night. Is this why they were nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize? Is this why Christians, Jews, Muslims, atheists, and innocent folks in Syria are being killed? Is this why American soldiers are dying for the sponsored war on terrorism? So places like Syria can be shattered into 1,000 different pieces. Have a puppet leader installed, and the spoils of war are there for the taking. Is this all to benefit the strategic interests of a few? In my opinion, there is nothing more un-American than companies like Genie Energy. There is nothing more un-American than the United States Incorporated. 100 years ago, the same folks were fighting over this oil like they are now. Oil was known to be in the Golan before the Brits took over Palestine, even before the Balfour Declaration, because BP drilled there just like the Ottomans did 100 years ago. Rothschild & Co. clearly knew there was black gold there before it was discovered. So why would these politicians and former government officials who sit on the board of Genie Energy ever promote peace in the Middle East when they profit from war? A peaceful solution would involve giving the Golan back to Syria, and therefore forfeiting Genie Energy's cash cow, if oil is all they're up to. If I've been successful at communicating the point of this video, you can see that it's a tale as old as time. So now, what's the solution? Let me know your thoughts. I always look forward to reading your comments. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting my channel on Patreon. Bye!